Hello, welcome back to the chaos that is Shani and books. Today I am clearly doing my journaling video for my 2024 reading journal. I didn't make one of these last year, but I really like the one that I made the year before, and it's nice to see all my journals all set up and ready to go for the start of the year. So here is my 2024 journal. I even stuck on nails because I didn't want you staring at my gross nails that I anxiously bite on. So let's start. This year I have gone back to a Scribbles That Matter journal. I did have this in 2022. I'll leave that video linked, by the way. In 2023, I went back to the Leuchtturm. This is the one that has the 120 GSM paper. And I was going to do the same brand again for 2024, but honestly, it was way more expensive. So it was cheaper to go with Scribbles That Matter. And I did like it when I used it in 2022. So let's just get into it. Oh, so this is the A5 dotted 160 GSM paper. It's a lot whiter than the Leuchtturm one. It's very bright white. There is some index pages that I obviously haven't filled in yet. And then we come to my title page, which if this doesn't give you an indication of the type of journaler that I am, then I don't know what will. If you are someone who does not like really colorful, drawn in journals, you like a minimalistic one, then my journal is not going to be for you. I like bright colors. I like it to look fun, because if it is boring, then quite frankly, I'm less likely to fill it in. I don't know what it is about my brain, but if it looks cute, I'm more likely to fill in the pages. So here we have the 2024 title page. And then very first page, I've covered it up, not that it's that big of a deal, but I did cover up my reading goals. I don't know if I'm going to share some of them, so I've just kept them covered for now. But basically I have like written out a goal, and I have like a progress bar, I guess you could call this. So for read 10 nonfiction books, I will color in a square and it will be like a progress bar. It doesn't look as good for my read 50 book goal. Like, I prefer it in the little bars, but it's fine. And then on this side, I have my reading tracker. This is my year in pixels. So there is a box for every single day of the year. So obviously January to December, 1 to 31. And each day I'm going to color in the square depending on how many pages I have read. I'm changing it this year. In previous years, I had way more colors, and it was a little bit like, I completed it, but it was a little bit too confusing each time to try and calculate the pages. So I've just gone, I'm going to have a color for 0 pages, a color for between 1 and 100, between 101 and 200, and 200 plus. And I was even going to do one less. I even was going to just make this 100 plus, which you could do that if you wanted to do this and have less calculating. But I've dropped it down to 4 different colors for this year. I will show you what mine looks like filled out. This is the current year. Obviously, we're not done, and I obviously always have this reading slump in the beginning of the year. But as you can see, I had a lot more colors, and it gets a bit confusing. So I really love how it looks at the end of the year, being able to see what my most commonly read amount of pages is. And I'm super excited to see what it looks like for 2024. Haven't chosen my colors yet. I don't know that I love this color theme, but yeah. If you would like to include this in your reading journal, I feel like it's really fun. I've been doing it for a few years now, and it's one of my favorite things to fill out each day. Then we have my bookshelves. This is the classic page that a lot of people have in their journals. You just write in the books that you read as you read them. I hopefully have enough spaces this year. I'm changing it again. In 2022, I had too many books, and I just started filling them out like this when I wish I would have done them sporadic so that the gaps were all filled in. There's not just like all the blank ones over here. They were like sporadically throughout. So I did that for this year, but I didn't draw enough books. So I stopped filling it out because I realized I was going to run out of space. So I haven't completed this page because I didn't draw in enough books. I didn't think I was going to read that much. So I've left enough books so that there should be enough gaps for me to put in all of the books I read, and I'm going to sporadically fill them out throughout the year and not start from the start, so that any white ones will look more cohesive, if that makes any sense. I don't know. Then we go into the next couple of pages are all the same. So I have this table for books read. This is something that I have been doing in my journal this year, but I've been setting it up each month in my monthly spreads. So let me show you an example. Here's a month that I have done it in my current yearly journal. And there's just a lot of space left over because I'm never really reading more than 10 books. So there's always this big space left over. And each month I have to redraw the whole thing. So I thought for 2024, I will just put all of them at the beginning of the book so I don't have to redraw them each month, and I can save space because I can just keep continuing on for the entire year. So I've left a few pages for those. I think I actually have too many pages, which is one of my favorites. So it's kind of sad that it's the one I'm probably not going to get to use because I left so many, but I'd rather have more than less. And personally, I love tracking my reading. I know you could do this in like an Excel spreadsheet, but I really like writing things in a physical book. I'm less likely to fill it out if it's digital. I don't know why. That's just the way I like to do things. So I have a space to write what number book it is, the title, the rating, the amount of pages, the genre, the year it was published, and then I have spaces to tick boxes for things like BIPOC, if it was queer, if it has disability rep, if it was Australian, because that's always one of my goals, to read Aussie books. And then I have spaces to tick if I read it physically via audio or ebook, and obviously I can tick more than one if I did it more than one way. And then I've got some space here if there's anything else that I decide I want to track throughout the year. But yes, those are those pages. Oh, by the way, I haven't even mentioned this. All of my like headings, I drew them in digitally in Procreate, and I printed them out and I made them look so that they don't look like perfect. They look like the lines aren't perfectly straight because I didn't want to have to draw out all the titles. So I drew them digitally and then I printed them out so it hopefully looks kind of hand drawn. And then some of them I colored them in and some of them I obviously left. But I also have a version of it where I colored them in Procreate so it looks like it was done with a marker. So if anyone wants these, I probably just throw them up for a free download for you. I'll leave a link below. If anyone wants to set up their journal and they don't want to hand draw out the titles, you can just cut them out and stick them in. Next up, we have more stats. This is going to be a column graph, or in other countries, I think you call them a bar graph. So there's a column for each month of the year, and then it will be how many books I read. I haven't drawn in the numbers. I don't usually read much more than 10, so I'd say I'll probably go up to 15 here, and then I will obviously draw the bar, the column for that. And then this page, I don't love how it looks, but it is functional. It is just monthly stats. I'm going to write in how many books I read, pages I read, average book length, average pages per day, so on and so forth, just as a fun little extra thing to track. This page is so fun and I love doing this every year. This is like a book battle bracket, I think I called it. I didn't put a title on it this year. So I have the 12 months here, and at the end of the month, I pick what my favorite book is of that month and write it in, and then February, favorite book, and then between those two books, I pick my favorite out of those two, so on and so forth until I get what should be my favorite book of the year. This is like one of my favorite things at the end of the month, is deciding which book to pick as my favorite and writing it in. And it's really fun because some months I have multiple books that I cannot decide which one is my favorite because I love them. And then some months I have the opposite struggle where I'm like, I don't even know which one to put down because I didn't really like that many books this month. So it's really fun to see what ends up making it onto this at the end of each month. Next, another functional one, I have a page for tracking arcs. This year was the first year that I started reviewing arcs. This is definitely going to be too much space. Like, I doubt I'm going to need this much space, but it is good for me to have a place in my journal where I can see the arcs. I've got a space for the title, when it's going to be published, and then a space to check off when I've read it and a space to check off when I have reviewed it, so that I don't have to keep logging on to NetGalley or anything to see where I'm up to for my arcs. Yeah, like I said, this is going to be way too many. There's like more space on this than almost more space than I read books in a year. So, but again, I'd rather have more than less. And sometimes I do picture books because I was a school teacher. So it's good to keep up to date with upcoming picture books. So that will take up some extra space for this arc tracker. But anyway, yeah, a functional one, but I think it still looks cute. All right, another helpful page. We have book releases. Again, I always forget when things are going to be released, and Goodreads just is the worst. So I do not like to log on to there if I don't have to. So I have all of the months listed, well, the first 6 months here, and then lots of space to write as many books as I want to that I am anticipating being released throughout the year. So obviously the first 6 months and the second 6 months. Next one, I feel like this one's really fun. I just like this color theme. I'm a pink girly, if you can't tell. This one is for book clubs. Obviously I have 12, I haven't written in the months, but I have 12 spaces for the 12 months. And as people announce book club picks, I can write them in so that I don't forget them. I love book clubs. I love reading with people and doing discussions. So I do want to try and participate in as many book clubs as I can. I have a lot that I keep track of, but I don't always want to read books for certain book clubs each month. So it's good to have a space to write them all down so I can decide which ones I do want to participate in for the month. And then on that, I haven't finished this page because I don't know how I'm going to set it out. I just have like a sticky note to remind me. But to go with that book club page, I want this to be a spread for my own book club. I did start doing my own book club, which I'll leave it linked if you would like to read along with us in 2024. But I think I'll probably have enough space to paste in the covers that I choose for each of the months. I'll hopefully get to do 12 months. And then maybe some space to write which book club pick was my favorite, which was my least favorite, which I think is the most successful month, stuff like that. I don't know, I just want like a memories page for my own book club. Right, this one, we have book bingo, which I did this last year. I wasn't sure if I was going to include it, but I just ended up doing it. So I have a bunch of different things, and as I'm reading books, I can fill out and hopefully achieve bingo in some way on this. I was aiming for like a full blackout board this year. I don't know if I've done that. I have to double check. But yeah, another little fun challenge to add in. And then my very favorite thing to participate in each year is the buzzword reading challenge. You've heard me talk about it so many times on my channel. It is created by Books and Lala. She picks out a word or a set of words or a theme for words for each month of the year, and then that month you are meant to find a book with that word in the title. So this is my page for that, and this year I'm going to paste the covers in. I've been doing it for all of the years. I think that she's had it as a yearly challenge, and then before that, when it wasn't a yearly challenge, she would just do readathons every so often. I participated in those as well, so I love that I'm still doing it. And I love having a page for it because I always forget what the monthly word is, so I like to have somewhere where I can come back and check. Next one, very plain because it's going to get hopefully colourful. This is, I obviously have a world map and I've put the title around the world. So this year in my journal, I started keeping track of where books were set, and I was colouring it in the country where it was set on a map because I wanted to see how many countries I ended up reading from. It wasn't a goal of mine, but I just wanted to track just naturally how many books I read from different countries, and the answer was not many. So this year I am going to intentionally try and see how many I can get, and I like having a world map because I don't know about anyone else, but I'm really bad with geography. Like, I can obviously tell you where each of the continents are, but then for each of the small countries, like if you ask me where a country is, I'm probably not going to know. Like the exact place. I can tell you the continent maybe, but not the actual country. So it's actually been really good once I found out the country that a book was set is to look up and make sure I know where in the world it is actually located geographically. So yeah, every time I read a book from a country, I'm just going to color it in. And then on the next page, I've left space to write the countries. Simply because on this, like for all these small ones in here, it's going to be hard to write what book it was that I read from that country. So I just left a second page so I can list out the countries and what book it was that I read set in that country. Then I have my A to Z challenge, or A to Z challenge, depending on what country you are and how you say this letter. I am, I think, on my very last book that I need to read for this year's challenge, and then I have completed it. But yeah, basically reading a book that starts with every single letter of the alphabet. So I'm going to see if I can complete it again in 2024. I'm saying again, I'm assuming I'm going to read the very last book that I have to read. I think I have one more. Then I have, this is like a social media themed page. I'm thinking I've got 12 squares here, and each square I'm just going to track how many followers, subscribers, whatever I have on that social site, which its numbers aren't that important, but it is kind of fun to track and just see throughout the year how it fluctuates, how I go, and then just a spot to write ideas. Because I'm so scatterbrained, I will think of something and then completely forget about it, and then later I'll be racking my brain trying to remember what it was that I had planned. So it's nice to have a spot to just chuck my thoughts down for things. So I have a couple of blank pages. This one, I've got a little post-it. I'm thinking maybe a 5-star predictions page, but I've also got another blank page just if I think of anything else. And then we go into January, which I love how this turned out. What I think I'm gonna do this year, because I did this last year. I, like I said, really like having things look pretty. I like drawing, but I don't always have time to draw in my journal. And last year at the beginning of the year, I planned out 12 title pages and 12 little themes for headings, and I drew them digitally and then I printed them out each month so that when I'm setting up my monthly spreads, I don't have to worry about the setup time. So I think I'm going to do that again this year. I haven't planned out all 12 yet. I have January done. But if anyone wants to set up along with me and have my same themes, I think I will leave some download links for printables. So if you want to have my little cassette tape January theme as well, I'll leave it linked below for you to just download. And then if you want to leave me suggestions for following months, if you would like to do this, then yeah, leave me a comment. I also have, I haven't set up the rest of my January yet, but I do have smaller cassettes with little titles for TBR, book haul, books read, quotes, stats, and then a blank one. So I will stick these in on the next page when I start writing down what my TBR is for the month. But yeah, I love a little nostalgic theme. That's what I had in my 2022 journal, and I love that it looks like hand-drawn. Like I didn't color these in, like in my book. I colored it in digitally and it's meant to look like it was done with a marker. I also have like a version where it's not colored in if you just want the black and white to color it in yourself if you don't like my color theme. But that, I think, is basically it for this year's journal. I'm very excited to start filling it out. I have been doing bullet journals and reading journals for so many years now. I think my very first bullet journal that I did was in 2016. So it has been many years of me drawing and journaling, and I have so much fun. I love being able to look back at my reading year in my journal, and I'm so excited for 2024 to start so I can start filling it out. Let me know if you have a reading journal for 2024 and what spreads are your favorite to fill out. Let me know if you got any inspiration from this video. And also let me know if you would like to have a little printable to put in your own journal each month. But I think that's it for my journaling video this year. Thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I will see you next time.